We're moving into the season of light. Isn't it interesting that we are moving into the season of the lights of Christmas? And if you look at the word Christmas, the Christ stands for Christ, which is the Greek for light. And Jesus and the other rabbis were always anointed, and they were called the Christed ones, we would say the illuminated ones, because of the higher consciousness. So as we go through this time, I thought it was interesting. Victoria and I were out yesterday. We heard they were going to put up the lights in the park. I live on a golf course, and about 15 feet away from me is a lake, and then the golf course is on the other side. And I live in a little loop, and inside the loop is a park. And inside the park is a beautiful park with trees and shrubs. And they had it all lit, the big Christmas tree all lit up. And then all the other areas lit too. And it was like everybody was getting lit. and isn't that what it feels like for Christmas? We do get lit up. And how many people really know what the light means? This is the season of the light. And the Christ term, of course, means the light. If you were to see a very high spiritual being, what you would see is brilliant light. Brilliant light. You wouldn't even be able to look at it. There are various levels of, just like we have various levels of consciousness here, there are also various levels of consciousness of the higher beings. And as they go higher and higher, at some point they leave the body behind and they go into that pure light. So the other thing is that you ever see somebody get pretty happy? What do we say? They're lit up like a Christmas tree. Well, this is the season to get lit. Matter of fact, let's see, what did she provide here? Oh. Not my brand of brandy, it tastes like water. So it's really interesting that we're going through such a transitional time on this planet. And what I found interesting is that our founder, Ernest Holmes, was a little bit ahead of his times. Oh, here they are. He was a little bit ahead of his time. He said, a new light is coming into this world. We are on the borderland of a new experience. The veil between spirit and matter is very thin. Now, this was in 1925. And he could see the veil thinning, and he could see that we were going through a transitional time. And he was aware that we would have these times ahead of us. And what are these times? These are the transitional times when we go from the lower consciousness to the higher consciousness. And when we rise in consciousness, we rise in light. Also from the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, he said light has the power to overcome darkness, not by combating darkness, but by being exactly what it is, light. And as you look at the world today, a lot of people want to get out there and fight and holler and scream and shout and create a lot of resistance. But Jesus said, resist not, because what you resist, you give energy to. What we resist, we give energy to. So when we look at the situation, and some of the political things might have you happy or unhappy, whichever way you want to go, I don't care. Your choice, your reaction. But what we're seeing is the light is coming in and through the people of the planet, and the planet is changing. But in order for the light to come out, the shadow side has to be cleared up too. So we're seeing the shadow side. But now as we go into Christmas, this is the season of the light. Now, one of the reasons it's called the season of the light is because during this period, the angels come a lot closer to the earth. Did you know that? Well, there are always angels here. You have your own personal angels. You all know that, right? You have your own personal angels? Sure. And your own personal angels are here to help you. How many times do you call on them? How many times do you call on the archangels that are here to support you? How many times do you call on the ascended masters that are here to support you? How many times do we call on the other higher ascended beings to help us? See, when you get into the higher levels, it's so different. Here we're kind of dumbed down, is what I call it. We have lost that sense of the ongoing oneness on an ongoing basis. And what Jesus was trying to teach is that the oneness is there. It's always been there, but we need to awaken to it. And Christmas is a celebration of the light to remind us of who we are, that we are the Christ beings. We are the light. Jesus said, I am the light of the world, and he also said, you are the light of the world. So let's look at that word light. What does light really mean? If you look at the word light or Christos, it really means illuminated. And illuminated really means enlightened. And enlightened really means God realized. Well, how many of us feel God realized at this moment? We have our moments, don't we? Yes. Yes. Fortunately, we have our moments. In my first 40 years, I didn't have any moments. And if you've never experienced it and then you experience it, it is an absolutely overwhelmingly beautiful, incredible, amazing, unforgettable, life-changing experience. You think it was important? Yeah. Do you think it was large? Yes. And how many of us have gone through that? In Matthew, it says, the light of the body is the eye. The eye. If therefore your eye is single, your whole body shall be full of light. But if your eye is evil, the whole body shall be full of darkness. Now we have an expression that we say that the eyes are the window of the soul. So if I'm in counseling and a person can't reach a decision about what to do, I have a little technique I use that you can use looking in a mirror. If you have something that you just can't decide whether to go this way or that way, look in the mirror and pick either one. And so if you were in a session with me and you didn't know whether to take a job, I would have you look me in the eye and say, I want to take that job. And because the eyes are the window of the soul, your body's going to react. Or bracing, or fidgeting, or a tightness, or a backing up, or crying. Because the light within us is the guidance of God. I was thinking this morning about what is the real light? And the real light, to me, is intuition. Intuition is God speaking through you. Well, what is it that we're looking for in this life? We are looking to feel the expression of God going through us and raising us up and bringing us into that light. Your eyes are just a part of the mechanism that handles what you see. The other part is your perception or your belief. So you can say, I want that job. But if you look me in the eye and say it, and it's not true, I'm going to know it. And so will you. Because you're looking in my eyes and you can't lie. We don't have any pathological liars here, do we? Now, if you're a pathological liar, you can get away with lying. To you, everything's true. But the eyes or the belief perceives our reality, which is really interesting because it's like the fellow that went into a town and he asked a wise man, he said, what are the people like in this town? And the wise man said, well, what were they like in the last town? And he said, oh, they were wonderful and they were sweet and they were beautiful. He said, well, you'll probably find them the same way here. Then another individual comes up to him and he says, what are the people in this town like? He said, well, what were the people in the last town like? He said, oh, they were terrible and hateful and bitter and ugly. And the wise man said, well, that's probably how you'll find them here too. Do we create our own reality? You know, I look at my first 40 years and I look at my last 40 years and I look at the people I attract and the people that are in my life and the way I get treated by people, and it's totally different. And it isn't because they've changed. It's because I changed. I changed. I changed seeing who I was. I stopped criticizing myself and judging myself and putting myself down and comparing myself to others. And when I learned to love myself, I learned that other people will love you if you let them. If you let them. But we block out the light. And the way that we see the world, and the way that we see ourselves, and the way that we see others creates our reactions and our beliefs. And what we need to do is come back to seeing ourselves the way the loving source sees us. When I think about the way the loving source sees me and loves me, I just want to cry. I just want to cry with sweetness and bliss. But that's the way it is for every one of us. And that's the great gift of Christmas. Because Christmas is every day. Christmas is a celebration of the Christ Mass. And the Mass is a celebration. So it is a celebration of the light. We are always in the light. I want to read to you what Dr. George Lomza says. Dr. George Lomza is the author of the Bible, the Lomza Bible. He translated it directly from Aramaic, the language of Jesus, directly into English. It didn't go through Latin. It didn't go through Greek. It didn't go through any other language. Now, George Lomza grew up in the mountains in Mesopotamia, where they had been isolated until after the First War. They wore the same clothes of the time of Jesus. They spoke the same Aramaic dialect. They had the same religion. They had the same teachings and everything. So, if I say to you, boy, you look really hot today, are you angry? Are you warm? Are you being friendly? What are you being? So, or he's really in a pickle. Well, how do you get in a pickle? George Lomza was invited to a shower, and he said to the woman, "No, thanks. I took my shower this morning." He didn't realize that it was an idiom, a colloquialism. And so I wanted to see what George Lomza had to say about the first part of the Bible, and where it says, "Let there be light." And he says it means, let there be enlightenment or let there be understanding. So light is oneness with the one mind, which is oneness with the understanding. Jesus said, "I am the light of the world." And when we are the light of the world, we are that aspect of the divine that we were created to be. And we are all the light of the world. There isn't a person here who doesn't have a beautiful soul, no matter what you think. There isn't a person here who doesn't have a beautiful light in them, no matter what you think. If I stand up and feel your God presence, I will be overwhelmed. Everyone. So what are you doing? Putting it down, criticizing it, judging it, diminishing it, seeing it as something less. I see your magnificence, and I love you just the way you are. That's what Jesus was trying to teach us. And we are the world changers. We are the ones that will bring this increasing light into the world by the love that we have and by the freedom from the condemnations. Our role at this time is to be like a Jesus. And that means that instead of being angry and judgmental and diminishing or comparative or negative or putting other people or yourself down, you and I need to see the magnificence that is in everyone and everything. I remember Dr. Hawkins in a lecture saying, when you get to a higher level, you see the beauty in the garbage. How about that? And if you look at the dying trees right now, do you see the beauty in them? Yes, they're magnificent. So as we go through this Christmas time, this is a time of embracing the light. The light is already in you. It's already in you. You are the light, and you are the love. This is a very loving group, very loving. This is a spiritual family that has united in love, and that's very beautiful. So as we go into this Christmas time, I want to do a prayer, a Christmas prayer for you. All right? You ready? Beautiful, loving source, wondrous God of my being, I behold your holy creations before me. I am as overwhelmed as when you were with me, and I felt the oneness. For I know that Spirit, that Christ, that God, that being is in me and in everyone. We are the light of the world. And you, wondrous Father, Mother God, are the light in us. The light, the love, the power, the wisdom, the knowledge, the intelligence, the empathy, the understanding, the clarity, the all that is. And recognizing that there is only one presence, and that is the presence of the loving source itself. And that I am one with this beautiful, indescribably beautiful presence. And I am one with all, because all is one and one are all. In this oneness, with this infinite intelligence, love, and power, I speak the word for each person here. I decree for you a wonderful Christmas. And that before Christmas, you receive a special spiritual gift. One that opens your heart wider and makes your mind clearer. One that lets you see the magnificence of what is. One that lets you look in the mirror and be humbled by the God in front of you. One that knows who and what it is. One that is filled with an absolute confidence and an absolute humbleness. One that is not afraid. One that knows it is protected, guided, and supported by the loving source itself. One that knows it is the magnificent creation of a loving source and is seen that way and can feel that essence. So I decree that the Christmas light, the light of Father, Mother, God, which is the real light of Christmas, illuminates every person here, melting bitterness, angerness, judgments, prejudices, narrowness, whatever it may be, and replacing it with beautiful softness, power, love, light, wisdom, empathy, and understanding, and peace and joy. As I release my word, it is not just my word. For every prayer I do, I call in Father, Mother, God, and all the higher beings. And so as we release that word into the law, that infinite intelligence, love, and power move in and through it and have created it, and it unfolds beautifully and perfectly. So I release it giving thanks, knowing it is done, it is good, it is divinely good, it is a Christmas good, a Christmas light good, and together we say, and so it is. Merry Christmas.